What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Your Ex Drinking Buddy with me, your host, Brennan Tassif. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. Full video available there. Check out the merch store. Look at all this stuff. We got all this stuff on the merch store. It's all available on the website, BrennanTComedy.com. You can also get my tour dates there. Every show that I have coming up, I'm going to be in New York, traveling the country, doing a bunch of gigs. So check it out. Get tickets at BrennanTComedy.com. Check out the merch store. And lastly, if you really want to support, go to www.patreon.com/BrennanTComedy. And that is where you can find Tales from the Restaurant, where I divulge everything about the celebrities I wait on. And also a little bit of behind the scenes. You'll also get the episodes early, a bunch of bonus episodes. Check it all out. Thank you so much. Enjoy the episode.
Grab me a beer and grab me a coke. We bout to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brennan T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brennan Tassif is your ex drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex drinking buddy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Your Ex Drinking Buddy. I'm your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown of the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It was my favorite thing to do. Hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then reminisce about those crazy stories. I am sober now, but it's still one of my favorite things to do. Hang out with somebody and reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I'll be joined by a guest. This week is no exception. All the way from New York City, Jimmy Schatz. What's up?
What an intro.
Yeah. We bring the energy, man.
I love
the
it.
energy.
No, yeah. I feel like I was picturing you as a host, like on stage at a comedy show.
Yeah.
Just getting loud, getting crazy, getting
Gotta
the
get it
audience warmed up.
Before we get too far into anything, plug everything up front. Social media, this will come out in July. So any shows
Jimmy
you have.
Schatz is funny. Don't forget the C. It's SCHATZ is funny. Jimmy, JIMMY. I run a show at Stonewall.
Okay.
A monthly show at Stonewall. It is a talk show / comedy show, so I always have a celebrity guest. TikTok is also Jimmy Schatz is funny. There's a lot of clips on there. And those are the plugs.
Beautiful.
Those are the plugs.
Thank you. You came on. You reached out to me about coming on. You sent me
Yeah.
a couple crazy stories, and I was like, we got to get this guy on. Obviously, we're recording this in the past because
Yes.
I just had a baby, so we had a bunch of episodes banked. But this is, it's fun. I love doing the show because I will have comedians, people in entertainment in the space. It's always so cool when they're like, hey, love the pod. I am also a fucking train wreck. Can I come on and talk about it? And I'm always like, hell yeah, let's do it. So before we get into the stories that you sent me, because you sent me a few between Fifth Avenue and the babysitting and the drug testing and the things. Before we get too far into any of that, I always like to know how people ended up in New York doing comedy, doing entertainment, doing whatever they're doing. So take us through, where are you originally from? Are you from the city?
I'm from New York City.
Okay, so you are
I'm
from
from
here.
the Upper West Side.
Oh, really?
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So when did you decide that you wanted to get into the space of comedy and entertainment?
So I got the acting bug, as they say, when I was in third grade at Columbia Preparatory on the Upper West Side. Sounds bougie. I guess it kind of is. And but I was only there until third grade. I had to leave because I was dyslexic.
Okay.
And they didn't have the resources. Anyway, so I did my first play there, and I just remember loving being on stage and the response from the audience. There's nothing like live theater or live comedy. And so I started doing theater, after school, in school, sleepaway camp. I went to college for theater. And when I graduated...
Where'd you go to college?
Dean College in Franklin, Massachusetts. Very, very small liberal arts school.
Got it.
When I graduated, I moved back to the city. And I was working at this cafe in the West Village, which is no longer there, called the Cornelia Street Cafe. And there was a performance space in the basement.
Okay.
And I started doing like one-person shows there where I would tell stories and like sing a little song and, weave them together.
And did you do this? Were you just like working and you were like, hey, to the manager or the owner, like, can I start doing stuff downstairs?
Can I, we had a good relationship. Shows, not to throw shade at the Cornelia Street Cafe, but back in the 70s and 80s and even 90s, it was really the place to be.
Okay.
And like really bustling. And there's so much history of, Glenn Close and Robert De Niro. Like,
oh, wow.
Reading their scripts, like drinking a cappuccino in the 70s and the 80s. And there was this whole thing with like, Sarah Jessica Parker had her first date there with Matthew Broderick in the 90s. And when things kind of died down, so a lot of artists started downstairs, not the people I just mentioned, but a lot of like
yes, I get what you're saying though.
Yeah, comics, and
it was a hang. It was a spot to be.
It was yes, as the people say, it was a hang, and then it really died down, and so I would just see, time after time, comedians, cabaret acts, storytellers, poets have shows in the basement, but like 4 people would be there.
Oh no!
And
after
so
the glory of the 70s?
After the glory of the 70s and the 80s. So I said to the manager of the performance space, listen, I wouldn't say, I'm the talent of the universe, but I can draw a crowd. Mm-hmm. I do have talent.
Yes.
And but if anything, I can tell you I can draw a crowd. So I started doing shows there, and it was always sold out. I mean, it's only like 50 people.
But still, that's as someone who just did a special in a space that fits 50 people. That's still very stressful to be like,
yeah,
I gotta get 50 people.
Come to the show. So I started doing things down there completely by myself. And it was always storytelling and song. And a song, when I say song, I mean, like standards or musical theater songs. And I would maybe rewrite the lyrics and it would be fun. And
are you doing this just yourself? Or are you bringing other acts or anything? Just you?
Me.
Wow.
So I did that for about a year. And a really good friend of mine was like, listen, we love you. We have so much fun watching you. You're such a good storyteller. You're so funny. You should try stand up because, as we know, being friends, you're not a singer in terms of Broadway or I'm not getting a recording deal.
Yeah,
I love to sing. I have fun with it. I've never billed myself as I'm a singer. So I took out the songs and broke everything up into 5-10 minute sets, and I started doing stand-up.
That's great self-awareness, by the way, to be I'm not.
But even starting that show, I mean, I think I would joke with the audience, like, that was a little flat, but it was fun,
Yeah.
And even still today in my stand-up, especially if I'm doing a show at Stonewall, which is like the legendary, the gay riots. Chauncey, who is in the sound booth,
shout out Chauncey,
as if he's over there. There he is, Chance. He'll put like reverb on, and I'll be like, "Oh, here we are. Welcome to the show, yeah." But like, I'm not getting a recording deal over that. That's just fun.
You're just having a good time.
Yeah, I love that you agree. By the way.
No, but it's just.
I'm kidding.
I love the idea of like knowing, because I don't sing, so I would be like, actually, that sounds fucking amazing.
You would have a great voice, I can tell. Actually, I have studied, and I can tell from the timbre of your voice, you're probably like a baritone.
Okay, yeah.
And there are some songs you could definitely.
Well, there are certain people like I'm sure you know Drew Tessier. He has a bit where he sings a little in it.
Yeah.
And I remember when he first brought that bit out, I was like, "Holy shit, dude, you can like sing."
Yeah.
And he's like, "No." But that like just self-awareness where you were like, "Well, actually, I like having fun. Like, I don't want to take this too seriously, but let's just have a good time."
Absolutely.
And the best part about doing stand-up is you could do whatever the fuck you want.
Absolutely.
So that was how you got in. This is something that always interests me because we talked about obviously doing the basically the solo shows.
Right.
How are you getting people to come out? Do you just have a ton of friends from growing up in New York? Are you like advertising? Like, what are you doing? Because as someone, I have a lot of comedians on. We always talk about, social media versus drawing versus ticket sales. We always talk about that stuff all the time. How are you doing this once a month in this cafe to be like, no, everyone, you need to come to this?
It's a combination of several things. One, I grew up in New York City. A lot of my friends are still, or at least at that time, were still in New York City. So they would come. They would be very supportive. My mom is still in New York City. She's got a ton of friends who know me since I'm a kid. But also, one thing about me, I really have zero shame. I'll tell you a story really quickly from literally 3 days ago that I met a woman at a coffee shop and I was, joking around with my friend who's the barista, and the woman laughed and I was like, "Oh, you think that's funny?" She was like, "You're hilarious." I was like, "I have a show at Stonewall on Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
If you come, there is a 2-drink minimum, but I will, because you're new, I will give you a comp." And she came, and guess what? She got a comp, but she brought 3 tickets. She brought 3 people, and they bought tickets.
Yeah.
So I have zero shame in going up to people or connecting with someone on the subway. You can't see right now on the pod, but like I'm majorly into socks, which is weird. I don't have like a foot fetish or anything.
You
but
just like socks.
I love fun socks. People will always stop me and be like, "I love your socks." And I will say to people like, "Oh, you should see the socks that I'm wearing at West Side Comedy Club tomorrow.
So you
Please
are
come."
on it.
So I'm totally on it.
Yeah, because that was always one of my problems is I don't have when I'm at work, because I also work in a restaurant, when I have tables, if for any reason it comes up that I'm newer to New York and they say, "What brought you here?" and I say comedy, but see, there's all this setup. There's like, okay, and then they open the door and go, "Oh, we like comedy." Then I'll be like, "Oh, you should come to a show." Or they'll go, out of politeness, they'll go, "Well, when's your next show?" or something like that. But you just, if you have the door even cracked open just a tiny bit, you're like, "We're going."
I'll run in.
That's so. One of my biggest problems is, and this is not derogatory, in fact, this is complimentary. One of my biggest problems is I am so insecure that I have so much shame about doing anything in
sort
public.
Of plug. Oh, okay.
Well, in public, like a lot of our friends who are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it's because they're doing the carousels with the jokes, or they're doing the walk and talks, or they're filming every single set. I feel like such a piece of shit, even if I'm doing a show at a big club, if I pull out my tripod, which is just something I need to get over.
Right.
But it sounds like you're just like, "No, I'm doing this thing. Like, I want people to come, so I'm just going to ask them to come." Which sounds rudimentary, but to me, I'm like, that's a superpower, man.
Yeah, I love people and I love connecting with them. And so if it's a vibe, I'll tell somebody. I think what's funny is, and you're inspiring me, is that one of the we're all hard on ourselves, right? Not even just comics. But one of the things that I sort of lose my mind over is the walk and talk, or the carousel, or the people constantly posting on the TikTok.
Yeah.
Because I don't do that.
Okay.
I have shame over that.
Okay.
And the reason that I don't do that, and this is not like shade towards anybody, but the reason that I do that is because when I open TikTok and I see someone with the little microphone just being like, "Well, today I went to the shoe store and I told the woman I need a pair of shoes, and she said, 'Get the fuck out.'" This is a bad example, but I feel like you're still getting it. Yeah. I watch that video and I think to myself, this person has followers?
Yes.
I want to kill myself. You just told me,
Jimmy,
that you went on a date with someone last night and they threw it,
Yeah.
So I feel, and this is why I'm sharing it with you, that maybe I'm doing well having that door cracked and having no shame, but I need to get to the level of really no shame as I spit on your table, because that's what gets you to the top.
That is. And
that's what gets you to the top.
It's crazy to me because people will send me videos and be like, "Look at this guy's routine, like for workout something or whatever."
I'm going to kill myself.
And I'm like, so wait, you're telling, because I do this.
Yeah.
Like, I understand this. Obviously, I'm filming a podcast right now. I know all the work that goes into setting this up. So you're telling me this guy went to a public gym, his gym, set up lights, his tripod, his camera to get 30 seconds of him lifting a weight. I would rather jump off the Brooklyn Bridge in winter than set up. I just told you I have trouble pulling out my tripod at work in comedy. And it's so funny to me, like the get ready, not the get readies with me, but when people do the
get readies with me.
But when people do the morning routine.
Oh, I hate it.
And I'm like, so you got out of bed, set up all your equipment, then went back into bed to get a 3-second shot of you opening your eyes.
Yeah.
You're a fucking loser.
That you do that.
And then and then you check and it's like 1.7 million followers and you're like, well, maybe I'm the loser.
Well, yeah, it's sort of a catch-22. Is that the right expression?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel, and this is like for a different podcast, but I feel like the world of comedy and blended with social media is problematic.
I agree. it is one of these things where it's like, oh, this is a great way for people to get to know me. Because a lot of and I don't know if you can relate to this, but a lot of, because I'm more of a storyteller on stage, I always, when people ask what kind of comedy do you do, I always say dark storytelling, because I talk a lot about my past and my addictions and stuff, but I try to make it funny. And so it does help if people know me, the person.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you're just, I've talked about this before, one of the most eye-opening things, I had a very close friend come to a show. She brought her wife. At the end of the show, my friend was like, that was awesome. Her wife goes, I was actually kind of terrified the whole time. Like,
of your stuff?
Yeah, because I'm talking about going to jail and doing drugs. And I'm like yelling into this is back when I was much more bombastic, but I'm like screaming and yelling into the microphone. She goes, I don't think I got it. But that showed me the true delineation between people who know me and they're like, oh, look at Brennan being silly.
Yeah.
And people who don't know me go, oh, look at this 6'1", 230-pound crazy guy screaming into a microphone. So I think it helps with that. But to your point, I think it has gone way over jumped the shark, way over the line, through the looking glass, whatever you want to say.
It's too much.
It's way too much.
It's so much. And it's a lot of times I find really off-putting. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I fall down this rabbit hole. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. You have to be kidding. Yeah. This is where we are right now.
And it is there will be, I will say, just to cover my own bases, there are comedians who are storytellers who will do it to tell stories. So they'll be doing something, but they'll be telling a story. And it turns out it's actually just a bit. And so it's funny. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I totally get that.
That's
You're
different.
Trying to get your material out there. But the random, just... Like you said, I went on a date last night and this happened and it's like, that's weird. Why are you telling us? Like, that doesn't seem like there's a bit in there. It sounds like everything either went really well or you're never going to talk to this guy again. Why do I care?
Yeah. It's also, I hate to make it about gender or sexuality or blah, 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 blah. But it's also different, I think, for queer comics, straight comics, male comics, female comics. Yeah. You're married.
Yes.
If you were not married and you were single, I don't know if it would be interesting or well received if you did the bit of I went out with this girl and she threw a drink in my face. Whereas it's very popular with queer comics to be I took a load last night and the internet goes wild. I mean, the internet goes wild. And call me prude. I'm I've had a lot of bone in me. I don't want to tell the world. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I completely agree.
So
with you.
that's my plug. And just one more detour, which is I fight about this with my dad all the time because he lives in this land of maybe don't be gay on stage.
Really?
Where I'm no, you don't understand. I went on stage last night. I talked about the pills that I'm on for depression.
Yep.
I talked about this old lady I work for, and I talked about blah, 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 blah. That's all I talked about. Now, I'm gay, but that's all I talked about. And then the other comics that are I have 6 loads in me, blowing up. So don't come at me, Dad. That was my little side.
I completely
pivot.
No, I appreciate that from a different perspective. Obviously, being someone who talks about his almost the exact opposite. Being as someone who talks about his life a lot on stage, I will have family members be like, "Hey, maybe don't share all your arrests. Maybe don't talk about doing heroin on
that's
stage."
Fun.
But I'm also they're like. Because I can do voices. I learned at a very young age I could mimic. And they're like, why don't you do the impressions? And I'm like, again, I would rather jump off the Brooklyn Bridge than just be known as... I do impressions in certain bits when it calls for it, but I'm not going to just get on stage and do impressions.
But no, you can't do that.
Well, it's to the point where everyone else feels like they know what they're talking about. And it's also, how often did you move to New York City or pursue a dream in New York? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is very much how about you don't fucking tell me what to do? How about that?
Yeah.
So I want to talk about it. You cleaned up your act. You got done doing drugs. You don't do drugs. But before we get into getting off of drugs, sobering up, all that kind of stuff, let's talk about the before.
Okay.
When was the first time you ever drank?
The first time I ever drank, I was a freshman in high school.
Okay.
And as I said earlier, I went to high school. I grew up in New York City. I went to high school in New York City. And there was...
I'm sorry, but you had mentioned that you stopped going to the preparatory academy in third
right.
grade. So
I went to Columbia Prep, which is private school in the Upper West Side. I had to leave because in third grade, I still was not reading at a third grade level, dyslexic, blah, 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 blah. So I went to a very small school, also on the Upper West Side, called Stephen Gaynor.
Okay.
Which at the time was in a brownstone.
Ooh.
There was maybe 50 kids that went there, 60 kids. I was there 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. And then I went to Winston Prep.
Okay.
Another school for kids with learning issues, dyslexic. And that was in Chelsea.
Okay. So you go to high school in Chelsea.
I went to high school in Chelsea.
And then you're a freshman. What happens? Take us through it. I love little details. So what's going on?
So I was a freshman I was a sophomore. I was a sophomore in high school. And that makes me 14.
Yep. 14, 15.
14, 15. And I was friends with a couple people. And there was this one girl who I'm still in touch with today. And she was friends with people who were a little bit older, 17, 18 years old. And there was this restaurant on 48th and 2nd Avenue, which is no longer there anymore. It was a Chinese restaurant, and they didn't card.
You just want them to not card, but you're 14.
14 years old. So they did not card.
And everyone knew that they didn't card.
Everybody knew that they didn't card. I don't remember how we all knew that, but that was a spot.
It gets around, urban legend.
You would go and you could see that table's clearly 12. That table's clearly, 16. Yeah. So we would go there on Friday, Saturday nights, and we would have, cosmopolitans and think we were so cool. And then I think I graduated to beer. Because I actually, even from a young age, I love the taste of beer, which people find really shocking when I tell them that.
Yeah, I do find that interesting. Because I always drank for the effect. So I was more hey, let's bang out a couple shots and get going.
Get fucked up.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. See, so this, I don't know if this is problematic, but I like the taste.
Yeah.
And most of the time I do hear what you say, which is the feeling.
Yeah.
And not the taste for me. So I really like the taste of beer. I did not like the taste of hard liquor.
So you started, but this is also interesting because a lot of times I've been doing the show a long time. A lot of times it's, we stole whatever from the liquor cabinet or I got beer out of the garage fridge, whatever it is. Right. So you actually started very differently than a lot of people in the sense that you were at a restaurant being served Cosmos, which is vodka. And that's how you started your drinking journey, as it were. It was I'm Miranda and I'm Samantha.
Well, yeah, because Sex and the City was on, so we were all,
whenever
together.
Anybody gets a Cosmo, I always think of that scene in Forgetting Sarah Marshall where he's like, I'm Samantha. But it is... So that's, Sex in the City, you're in New York, you're at a place, and you're like, we're
drinking Cosmos.
And then what happens how do you find beer? How do you go from, that idea of drinking Cosmos with your friend to I'm going to crack a beer?
Because
those are very different lives.
Yin and yang. The friends that I would go to the Chinese restaurant with, and we would have Cosmos and we would be very Sex in the City. One of my friends lived at the time on the Upper East Side. I mean, that's where, her family. And her parents were always away. I don't remember why, but they were always out of town. And sometimes we would go, instead of the restaurant, we would go to the house and all hang out on a Friday night. And we would buy 40s.
Okay.
Somebody bought 40 ounces of beer. And I think I tried it and I just liked it.
Wow. Yeah. That is definitely different than my experience and what I've heard on the show.
Yeah.
You were just kind of let's do it.
I was just let's do this. Let's have a 40. And I thought it tasted good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happens from there when you end up going away to college? Because you went to a small college. I'm fascinated by this. Do you kind of go wild? Do you go crazy? Are you just still doing the same thing, drinking on the weekends? What happens with
So I like telling people that one of the things that I'm really grateful for is I was so wild in high school. Mm-hmm. I mean, but before I went to college, like I went to rehab before college.
Okay, so yeah.
That's like I was caught with drugs and like, snorting lines in the bathroom in 10th and 11th grade. Well, no, 11th and 12th grade.
So
my drug use.
I kind of skipped a little bit.
Yeah, my drug use was like really at a early age.
When did that happen? So we're talking about Cosmos at the Chinese restaurant, going to the friend's house, having some 40s.
Yeah.
I assumed that the drugs and everything didn't come into play until later, which is my fault.
Yeah, no.
What happens to where you graduate from
beer to cocaine?
Yeah, where does that?
So when I was in 11th grade, I'd been doing theater at a youth theater group for 5 years already.
Uh-huh.
And when I was in 11th grade, I did a show. It was a musical. I did a musical. And I made friends with one of the girls in the group, and she was from a very, very wealthy family.
Okay.
And I didn't know at the time we became friends, but she was like a little coke addict.
Really? At that age?
At that age. And I tried it for the first time with her on like a Friday night at her parents' palace on Madison Avenue. And
are those? So I'm not from New York,
Yeah.
but I'm obsessed with like the history of it, and I'm at the Met all the time and all that stuff. Are those places that I walk by and I look at and I'm like, wow, that's intense? Are they as nice on the inside as I think they are?
I mean, you have no idea.
Okay.
I mean, you have no idea. I constantly. This is such a what's the word? This is such a aside. Okay,
Yeah.
I can't think of the word. But like there are times where I think back to where I went in high school, like friends' houses, and I think to myself, like, oh, I should have picked a different career path. Cause like I mean, this girl's apartment was insane. And I've been to some insane apartments.
Because you understand
in New
what
York
I'm like.
City.
Sometimes you walk by and it's like a brownstone.
Yeah.
It's just like 3 levels, 4 levels straight up, and I'm kind of always like, "There's
What's
no
in
yeah,
there?
like, is it really worth $5.7 million?
It really is. It really, really is. And I'll never forget, she lived on Madison and I think 90th. And it was only 2 apartments on each floor. Like that's how big it was.
Wow.
And what's funny is that's not even impressive to me in terms of, does oh God, what's it? Seinfeld lives in this building. Do you know the Bell Nord? Do you know where that is? No, it's not the Bell Nord.
I don't know.
Oh God.
I don't know.
Okay, there's an apartment building on 81st and Central Park West.
Okay.
Seinfeld lives there. McEnroe lives there.
Oh, I would know it if I saw it because
You would know it if you saw it, but the Beresford. It's the Beresford. And I had a friend in 2nd grade when I was still at Columbia. They had the whole floor.
The whole floor?
They had the whole floor. I got lost in that apartment. I got lost in that apartment. And
See, people always say there's no space in New York. There's space. You just gotta pay
you
for
have
it.
no idea. I mean, this I have goosebumps right now. This apartment was, and I didn't grow up like I grew up comfortable, not in comparison to the, these people, but I mean, I grew up on 83rd and West End until I was 12 years old. I had my own bedroom. My brother had his own bedroom.
But then you see some of these places and you're like, what the?
Nothing like some of the apartments that I, in my lifetime, have experienced.
Okay. I'm always so curious because I've never been inside any of them, but I always walk by them and I'm always like, especially if you see a for sale sign, I'll like pull it up on Zillow and I'm like, 3.9.
Is this worth it?
Like, what do you like? There's no way there's that much space.
No, there really is. I mean, it's unbelievable.
So you're with this young woman.
So I'm with this young woman who I'm still in touch with today. I don't know if she'll like this podcast.
We're not going to say the name.
But we're not going to say the name. And her parents had, this palace on Madison Avenue. And we used to hang out like Friday nights. And I remember she had her parents' charge card or ATM card, and she would take out $100. We would call the drug dealer. We would get like a vial of cocaine for $100.
Class.
And then
we don't use bags in New York City.
We don't use bags in New York City. And she would always put it in her bra. And then
the reason I'm laughing is to imagine like a sophomore in high school being like, oh, I got it.
Yeah, just like throwing this vial, in her bra. And Then we would order Thai food because we'd want to eat before, like a wild night. And then we would just do lines.
Just hanging out.
We would just hang out and do lines. And I just remember it being so fun.
Yeah. Well, and then what happens? Because then you end up in rehab, obviously, before college. Is it just the cocaine, or do you eventually get into other stuff?
It was just the cocaine, but it was like so bad. It got so bad. I remember in my senior year of high school. Oh, this is not funny. It's crazy. My senior year of high school, teacher at Winston Prep. It was a very, very small high school.
Yeah.
There was 12 kids in my class.
Jesus.
I graduated with like 24 people. So I was very close with the teachers, and I'm still in touch with a lot of them. I didn't have a lot of friends in actual school. I had like a group of 3 people, whatever. But there was a teacher who had a baby and left.
Mm-hmm.
And she got in touch with me because she needed a babysitter.
Okay.
She needed like a Saturday night babysitter. Her son was
This was the story you said.
Yeah. Her son was like 1 year old. And Saturday night was date night with her husband. And all she needed was someone to come over at 7. The kid was already asleep. And just kind of like stay and watch movies while they went out for a couple hours.
Just make sure the house doesn't burn down.
Make sure the house doesn't burn down. I was making like $20 an hour, and I was there like at most 5 hours. They would get me dinner. I could order dinner. They would get me a cab home. I mean,
you were set.
I was set.
Easy $100 every Saturday.
Easy money. And I remember, and I think about this still sometimes. I don't know if this is like, my cry for help. I remember every Saturday that I worked, I would get the cash. I would leave. It would be, maybe 10 or 11 at night. And I would call my dealer and I would pick up a vial and go on my merry way.
So you have now transitioned from being with your friend who would call the dealer to now you're calling.
Oh yeah, now I'm
years
calling.
later.
Yeah, now
so
I'm calling the dealer. It's like 2 years later, a year later. And I mean, sometimes I would call the dealer, I would get the vial, I would go meet her. We didn't have a falling out. It just I became okay getting it.
You became independent.
So senior year of high school, I've been doing coke for like 2 years now, a year and a half, whatever. I remember clear as day that on my way to babysit one Saturday, I thought to myself, I have enough cash. I should just get it now. And that way I don't have to run the risk of
not getting it
later. And I can just go from babysitting directly. This particular night, we were meeting downtown at like some friends in Soho.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that loft later. So I just reversed it. It was pickup, babysitting downtown instead of babysitting, pickup downtown. And I know nobody believes this to this day, and I am laughing because I wouldn't believe it either. But I really do swear on like the successful career I plan to have and my mother's life that all I was doing, I'm still laughing, all I was doing was I had an old vial and I had the new vial.
You got to put the stuff from the old vial.
And I was splitting it.
Yeah.
Because, this is an important part for me. She wanted to split a vial, my friend. She did not want her own. She was like, let's just split it. We'll save a little money. I was like, okay, whatever. So I'm at a table that looks very similar to this one. And I'm just like splitting it up. And that's all I'm doing. And I split it up and I covered them, put the caps on. I put them in my backpack. I put my backpack on the chair. I got up. I went to the couch. I watched some television. And after like an hour of watching television, I got up. I walked into the kitchen to get a glass of water. And as I was coming out of the kitchen, I noticed there was some white residue on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute that I noticed the white residue on the table, the door opened. And I literally went like frantically to like wipe it aside. And the woman who I was babysitting for at the moment, she had to have like really picked up on it or something, because she was like, "Is everything okay? You seem so like," and I was like panicked.
Yeah.
And again,
obviously.
I'm not coked out.
But you're
at all.
I totally
I'm
understand.
panicking over what happened.
I totally
So
get
then
it.
I was kind of like, "Oh, I'm fine." You know, probably sounded totally yacked.
Yep.
But really it was my adrenaline going because, oh my God, she literally just saw, you know, that happen.
I've been in that spot before where people are like, "You're fucked up." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And then I get so aggressive because I'm so adamant that I'm not.
Yeah, you're
that
not
it's
fucked up. You're just, oh dear God.
And then people are like, "Well, look how like defensive you're getting, or look how aggressive you're being. Obviously you're fucked up." And it's like, well, then I can't win. There's nothing I can say that's going to convince you otherwise.
So she asked me if everything was all right. I was frantic. I got out of there real quick. She paid me. I got out of there. And then the next day, she called me on the phone and she was like, this is another thing that I'll never forget. She was like, "Hi, Jimmy, do you have a minute? Could we talk?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And she was like, "Well, I just wanted to tell you, and I feel, you know, a little bad, but you seem so frantic last night, so in a hurry to get out of there. And when you left, I noticed where you were standing talking to me. First off, I had seen when I came in, we locked eyes and I saw you brush stuff off the table. And then I noticed after you left that there was like white powder on the floor. And she said to me, so I picked it up and I put it on my gums, and my gums got numb. And I'm just wondering, like, is there anything you need to tell me?" And I was like, her name was Robin. I was like, "Robin, I am mortified." And I started crying. I was like, "I am so embarrassed. I am so mortified. I know you're not going to believe this, but here's the story. This is what was going on."
And then did you tell her the truth?
I told her the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, I told her the full enchilada of the story. And I was just like, "I'm such an idiot. Every time in the last year that I've been working for you, I go, I babysit, you come home, we chat," because we would always chat.
Yeah.
And then I leave, and then I call my dealer and yada, yada. And I'm explaining the whole thing to her. And she says to me, "Well, my husband and I talked about it last night.
What?
And, you know, I just want you to know that obviously you can't babysit anymore.
Obviously.
But, you know, as my husband said to me last night, you know, we learn from our mistakes, and I hope you learn something," and blah, 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 blah. And then I said to her, I was like, "I just have to say one thing, which I hope is not the wrong thing to say. I would really appreciate if you didn't share this with anyone from high school. I know you're close with a few of the teachers.
Can we just keep this between us?"
And I even said to her, this is another thing that to this day actually really gets at me, is I said to her, "I don't know, maybe this is a cry for help. Maybe I have more of an issue than I think, you know. If you feel you need to share this with somebody, I would rather give you my therapist's number or my mom. I would much rather than, I don't want people knowing about this."
Yes, 100%.
at school.
Yeah.
And she said to me, this is a quote that I still hear in my head. She said to me, "My job is to make sure I'm okay, my kid's okay. I've obviously just told you you can no longer work here. I've done what I have to do. You know, I hope you're okay, and I wish you all the best. I don't need to involve anyone from the school." And that was a dirty lie, because she told the school, and the school called my mom.
So I'm sure in that moment for her to say that, you're probably relieved.
I was relieved.
Oh, thank God. Okay. Yeah, I'll figure it out, but thank you so much.
To this day, I'm like, what did that benefit that she lied? Like, why did she have to lie to me?
Yeah. What ended up happening with the school?
So what ended up happening was, oh, by the way, this conversation that we're having on the phone back and forth took place Sunday, on a Sunday. Monday was the start of winter break.
Okay.
We got 2 weeks off every winter.
Yeah.
So I had my 2 weeks. I went to like a wild New Year's Eve party on the Upper West Side in a duplex, did a lot of cocaine, drank a lot. And when I got back to school in 2 weeks, it was drug week.
Really?
That's what I call it, drug week. There was a woman who came from an organization that I don't remember the name of it. Excuse me. And I'll never forget, she was this like really aggressive lesbian, which I hope I can say that.
Yeah, of course.
And she gave lectures all week to different high school classes about like she's sober.
This is your fault. You know that, right?
What she felt, like when she drank and how she got sober and how drugs will ruin your life. I wish I could remember the organization because it happened. I experienced this all 4 years. This woman came all 4 years.
Oh,
of high
really?
school.
So this wasn't just because of you?
No. This was literally.
So you had like a drug week every year?
Every year.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
We had this woman come
I thought
every
for
year.
sure this was your fault.
No. Oh, yeah. I mean, it sounds that way, right? And she was there the entire week. And I remember, now that we're talking about it, that the last day, like the Friday, the last day of the week, I ran into her on the street. And she gave me a hug. And she was kind of like, take care of yourself. Please take care of yourself.
God.
And I knew something was up.
Yeah.
And what I later found out, because that was Friday, on Saturday, it was my birthday, or, around my birthday. I went with my dad, my stepmom, my brother to see Sweeney Todd on Broadway. And we went to dinner. That's something we did every year for my birthday. And when I got home, my mom confronted me with that she had gotten a call from the principal that I was doing cocaine. And I think actually she found some. I think like the phone call made her then go look through things.
Yeah.
And so she found stuff. And what I'm getting at is I had learned that the woman who fired me, the babysitting gig,
Yep.
she had told one teacher who she was still very friendly with. And that teacher for 2 weeks of winter break didn't know what to do. And then we get back to school, it's drug week, and she spoke to the woman, the aggressive lesbian. And she was like, this is the situation. And I don't know if I should be calling the mom, if I should tell the school what to do, what to this. And I think ultimately the woman convinced her that she should talk to me and ask me about the situation before doing anything else.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like that option. I guess she didn't feel comfortable with that option, and she went to the principal.
Really?
Yeah.
See, this is how
And
things
the principal called my mom.
Yeah. And this is how things get twisted. Because it's like you don't even know, and given, obviously, you have your side of the story, but you don't even, you're not even going to get any of that information.
No.
You're just immediately going to rat on me.
Yeah.
And make this a whole thing. So is that why your mom, did you end up going to rehab because of that?
So I went to rehab, and by the way, I confess, I say rehab because to me it sounds glamorous. I went to outpatient.
Okay.
Or is it inpatient?
It's outpatient.
I went to outpatient.
Yeah. As someone who's done detox, inpatient rehab, and lived in a halfway house, that doesn't count. But we'll go with it.
Okay. Oh no, now I feel bad.
You went to treatment.
I went to treatment.
Yes.
Yeah. But I like saying rehab.
No, rehab is stick with that.
Okay.
Of
so
course.
yeah, I went to treatment.
And how did you take to it? Did you enjoy it? Did you not like? Because for context, when I finally decided that I had had enough, it was on my own accord. I went to rehab on my own because my life was destroyed, and I couldn't figure out why I could not drink.
Okay.
So I went to rehab on my own. Got there, and I, as an addict and a competitor, I was like, I'm gonna fucking crush rehab, and I loved it.
Okay.
Like I made all these friends. Some I'm still friends with to this day. Some of them obviously have died because that's what happens in rehab. But I was like, I'm gonna be the ultimate fucking rehab guy. And then I ended up relapsing 2 weeks before my 1 year chip. But for you, when you go, because this is a different circumstance, you were told to go by other people. Were you kind of like, this sucks? What am I doing? What was going on with that?
I mean, I thought that it sucked. I was super not into it at first.
Yeah.
The thing that really was traumatic is the random drug testing.
Yeah.
And
take us through that because you
the
sent me
first time that I had random drug testing was on 57th Street, around the corner from the Abercrombie and Fitch store.
Mm-hmm.
And my first day of getting drug tested, I walked by the Abercrombie and Fitch store, and one of the underwear models was outside with like his perfect 6-pack and like his pecs of steel. And I was, I like cry. I had a breakdown in the middle of the street, which, by the way, is a testament to a big issue, underlying issue, which is I liked cocaine and I actually like loved the effects of cocaine, but I was skinny and I was so happy being skinny because I think skinny people rule the world. And I know we're not really allowed to say that, but I still feel
You're
that
not
way.
wrong.
I still feel that way. I think we live, the world would be a better place if we all accepted the fact that not everyone is beautiful. And when you are, life is good to you.
And I don't disagree with that. I mean, I know there's beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But to your point, it is because, I get in this argument with my friends all the time. I'll be like, oh, this person's super hot. And they're like, you're out of your mind and blah, 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 blah. But to your point, people who are classically beautiful have a way better advantage in life than people who are not. And I see it firsthand. I have two sisters who are both classically beautiful, and I'm always like, the fuck? You just get this shit? You just get everything?
Yeah, it's just how the world works.
Yeah.
I think we all need to embrace that.
And as a kid who was a fat kid who got bullied a lot, and I would look at my friends who were like, sophomores in high school were sculpted and captain of the football team. And I was like, well, this kind of sucks. I want to kill myself. And you guys are having sex at 14.
It's not fair. And I had learned it was probably Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah.
I had learned that cocaine makes you skinny.
It does.
And so I was loving it. So the first day of...
So you cried to the underwear model.
Well, not to the underwear model, but I saw the underwear model and I totally had a breakdown.
Yeah.
And probably cried on the street.
Yeah. It's a New York moment,
I mean, it was so traumatic.
What year was this when this happened?
2006.
Okay, because then you also sent me... So from 2006, are you completely on the wagon until 2022?
Oh, so 2006, I'm in... outpatient, and about 2 months into outpatient, I learned something really funny, which is when she would call me for random drug test and I would say, no, I'm sorry, that's not going to work today. She would call my parents to let them know that I, refused. But the first time my refusal happened, it was because I had a tech rehearsal for a show that I was in.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm so sorry. This is not happening today. Theater is important to me and I have a tech rehearsal. And she was like, well, I'm going to have to tell your parents, yada, yada, yada. So what I learned was, Coke stays in your system for
3 days.
3 days. What I learned was I could go on weekend binges.
Yeah.
And then I could, sort of map it out and not get caught.
I did that when I was on probation.
Yeah. And I mean, it really...
As soon as I left the probation office, I was like, well, I can get fucking fucked up now.
And now...
Because I don't have to see them again for a month.
Exactly. So I became really good at that and things were going well for a while.
Yeah.
And then about a month before leaving for college... my mom, for some reason, I don't remember why, she went through my stuff and she discovered that I
had been using
again. And I went back to the drug therapist and I call her the drug therapist at the Freedom Institute. And she suggested to my mom that I don't go to college for the first semester.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then I go to rehab. To an actual rehab facility. And my mom said, no.
Okay.
And the woman said, that's your choice. And my mom, we never told my dad. My parents are divorced. And we never told my dad, which is wrong. right? On so many levels. And
your mom's like, I'm going to handle this
yeah,
one.
my mom was like, I'm handling this one. And I didn't go to college. And I mean,
You
to
did
her,
go to college.
I did go to college,
Yes.
sorry. And, you know, to her credit, she probably believed in me and thought, you know, I'll go to school and it'll be fine.
Once you have
And
more
it wasn't.
responsibility, you're going to lock it down.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be okay. And then you were like, nah, actually hold my beer. I'll show you something.
Exactly. So, although I will say in college, I didn't really do cocaine unless I was home,
Okay.
which is kind of weird because I
Interesting.
feel like cocaine doesn't work that way.
It does. And because you live a very different life than 99% of everybody else.
Yeah.
You're on the Upper West Side in New York City. You know, I've seen Gossip Girl. This is how it works. So like if I was going back home to Daytona, like, yeah, maybe it's a little different versus being in college in South Florida.
Right.
But when you come back home, you're around it.
Right.
Because, you know, your friends are doing it. They're all rich kids. And it's like, yeah, it's just here. So, I mean, it makes sense.
And I think I did it once in college and it was terrible.
Oh, really?
I was like, I'm not paying for this.
Yeah, just bad.
You know, it was just bad.
So what happens in 2022 when we fast forward? Because you had sent me that.
So, oh, I left out such a big thing. I can't believe in the notes I left out a big thing. Okay, sorry. So
You might have sent it. I wrote them down.
No, I didn't. I
Okay.
can't believe that I left this out. So I go to college fall of 2006.
Okay.
I try it once in college. I don't like it. I'm like, I'm not paying for this. I come home from winter break. I do it a little. I go back to school. I don't do it. I come home for the summer. I do it a lot. This repeats for 2006, 7, 8, 9. 2009, summer 2009, I came home. I'm a rising senior.
Mhm.
And I had a friend and we did it all summer long.
Okay.
I remember I had like an internship and we would do cocaine, like we called it Magic Monday. And we would do cocaine every Monday in the West Village.
That is so funny. We called it Marathon Monday. Where
Marathon Monday.
We would drink from sun up to sundown.
Well, ours was Magic Monday. And
Why is it always Monday?
I think because maybe it's like the kickoff to the week.
I always thought like instead of having the Sunday scaries, we'll just get fucked up on Monday.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So then
Yeah.
Sunday, it's like, well, this is the precursor because tomorrow is going to be, and then I'm hungover Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then by the time you know it,
The
it's
weekend
Friday.
rolls
Yeah.
around and you're good. Good. So we had like Magic Monday and we were in the West Village and in a studio apartment, like smoking cigarettes,
Yes.
drinking, doing
Yes.
cocaine. It was so great. And
Just like the movies.
just like the movies. I think it was Gaga that summer. She had like,
Oh yeah.
you know, come
Mhm.
to the scene. I remember the Fame, that album, whatever.
So
Exactly. So one night, one Magic Monday night, I'm in the apartment with my two friends and we're doing a lot of cocaine. And all of a sudden, I felt really, really hot.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, my heart started beating out of my chest. Like I remember looking down and like
You could see your shirt.
I could see it was really, really, really terrifying. Like the most terrifying experience I've ever had. And to this day, I managed to like, you know, calm down, have water. I remember my friend was like, hug a pillow. I was like, okay. And I didn't sleep that night, but I remember just like I
gradually came down.
gradually came down. And then the next day I felt so awful. I went to the emergency room.
Oh wow.
I went to the emergency room and they took, you know, all my vitals and ran blood work and everything. And it seemed that there was, you know, it was still in my system a little bit, but it seemed the ER doctor, I'll never forget, she said something like, you know, it sounds like you sort of had an episode, like you really experienced, you know, like a miniature, not heart attack, but like it was really a bad
cardiovascular event.
Yeah, like a real event.
Yeah.
And so from that day on, I never touched it again.
Okay.
I like never touched it again until 2022. But
So that was you were like, okay, no more. That was crazy.
That was the end. I was like, holy fucking
I almost
shit.
died.
I literally almost died. It was so bad. And yeah, it was the scariest experience I've ever had. I
Mhm.
really thought like, oh, this is the end.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die. No more me.
As someone who's had one of those, I had no feeling.
It was real bad.
I
remember
you're like, really fucking for Magic Monday?
No, like really. And I remember thinking to myself, and if my mom listens to the podcast, she'll be very hurt. But I remember thinking at one point in the cab home, like, should I have gone to rehab?
Oh yeah.
Should I have gone to rehab in 2006? Like my mom thought I would be okay. And here, look at me now. I'm not. So it was traumatic.
Yeah.
And then I stayed off of it. And then in 2022.
So 13 years. Don't touch this
13 years. Not at all. Not even a droplet. And by the way, and I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but for 13 years would be able to sit at a table with 5 people doing it.
Yeah.
And just be like, I'm over here having my lager. I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. So 2002, I met this guy who I did not know until the third time we hang out was like a raging drug addict.
Yeah.
And
they can hide it. We can hide it pretty well.
I relapsed.
Because of him.
Because of him.
The situation.
Yeah. I mean, I take responsibility for it, but you know.
That's why I immediately said the situation.
Yeah, the situation. And I was with him for about 2 months before.
What happens?
What
He's
happened?
Just doing it, and you're like, "Hey, let me do it."
Doing it all the time, and I think, well, it was kind of peer pressure. Actually, he was like, "Why don't you just try it?" And I was like,
"Because I tried it, and I almost died."
Yeah, and I said yes.
Okay.
And it was so bad how quickly I said yes. And I remember telling my friend about it. My friend being like, you know, you had a lot to lose. Like this hot guy who, you know, you're interested in is like kind of peer pressuring, and maybe in the heat of the moment you didn't want to say no, thank you.
Yeah.
So I did it and I loved it and I did it again. And it's like, you know, third time's the charm, but not. The third time we did it, same exact thing.
The heart.
As 2009.
So even with 13 years off, your heart was like, no, we're not doing this.
13 years off, we're not doing this. And it was terrible. Once again, terrible.
So since then,
nothing.
Okay.
Nada.
And now this was something interesting because when we first started the podcast, we were kind of talking about this. So you don't do drugs. You still drink on occasion. You're not drinking right now.
Right.
But you still drink on occasion, which I find very interesting because I've had this experience many times before. I have a lot of friends, obviously, I met through rehab and through the halfway house and stuff, who had problems that weren't with drinking. It was heroin or it was meth or it was coke or it was whatever. And so they can still go to a bar. How I am with cocaine, which is where I would try it and then be like, yeah, it's not for me. Or I would do it just so I could keep drinking.
Right.
But I was always like, kind of like, nah, I'm okay. Like, I don't want to do it. That's how you are that's how you are with drinking, where you can drink if you want to drink, but you're kind of like, yeah, I'm over it.
I'm fine.
Which I find fascinating because as an alcoholic, I'm always just like, wait, you can do that? And it's like, yeah, my wife drinks when she wants to drink. Like, obviously not now, she's pregnant, but you know what I mean? Like, she's not an alcoholic, so she just drinks. So for you, have you found that the experience with not doing drugs, has that been a burden or has that been kind of a blessing when it comes to like being in environments where people are drinking and doing drugs and stuff like that? Because I always find it awkward I can speak for me. If I go to a birthday party or I go to a comedy thing or I'm hanging out with a bunch of comics and everyone's drinking, I do feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
Because I don't drink.
Right.
So for you, because you do have the option to drink, even though you don't drink, does that make you feel more comfortable in those settings? Or are you just kind of like, it doesn't really matter? Because you're a very gregarious guy anyway, so I don't.
I feel very indifferent about it.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of like I'm drinking, I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying like, do I feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, because like so case in point, I went to there's a comedian. I go to her birthday party every year. Every year I feel like an asshole.
Because you're not drinking.
I show up, everyone's drunk, there's people doing drugs, and I show up. I don't show up super early because nobody's ever there. So I show up like an hour into the event. I always, whatever the theme is, I dress to the theme. But I'm just not, it's a lot of people from her work. I don't know a lot of them. And I'm just kind of standing in the corner like a dickhead. And then I see her, I give her a big hug. And then again, I'm back to standing in the corner. And I don't know if that might just be a me thing.
Well, it sounds like you're not social.
Yeah, that would probably be it.
I think that's what it is.
So you don't need anything. Like if you, because this is an interesting thing. If I walk into a room and it's people I know,
You're fine.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, look at us. We're having a conversation. We're doing the thing. But if I walk into a room and it's people I don't know, I might as well be a fucking in a trench coat in the corner in the dark.
No, I love that. The only time that I'm not able to be social, and this is like trauma and for another kind of podcast, but is in a queer space, in a gay space.
Okay.
I don't know how to be around my people.
Okay.
And it sort of goes back to I'm not saying I tie it into cocaine, but it's sort of, for me, it's the need for perfection and beauty and to like, I mean, you can imagine, you live on planet Earth, that it is a stereotype, but like gays traditionally, no shade, like they look really good.
Yeah.
In a lot of spaces,
You look great.
No, but it's different.
No, I understand.
It's like the stereotype of like the muscles and the perfect hair and the chiseled. Yeah. That to me is very intimidating because ever since I'm a little kid, that's what I've wanted to look like. Mm-hmm. And that's not happening.
Yeah.
And so I can talk, the point of this trauma rant was I can talk to anyone, any age, anywhere, any venue, but it's like, I can't with the gays. I can't with my people. It's so bad. And thank God for my boyfriend of almost 2 years, because not to throw him under the bus, but he's almost the same way. Like he's not into the scene. Mm-hmm. And so we go and we do our own thing. And then we have like double dates with our straight friends.
God, that must have been a relief when you met him.
Oh, I cried.
To be like, oh, we don't have to go to these
like,
clubs
we don't.
Hang out
and like, it's, I know this is in the future, but it's Pride Month now. And like, I'm not on any gay lineups. Like no one's asked me. I've reached out to a few people. I haven't heard back, but I'm like, in a way, it's almost a blessing because I bomb. I bomb because of me. Cause I'm like, oh no, I'm scared. You're pretty in the front row. So, yeah.
Okay.
I hope some of that made sense.
No, it does because I always equate my awkwardness in social settings. I always equate to, oh, well, if I was drinking, because it is true too. If I was drinking or doing drugs, I'd be off the fucking rails. I'd be talking to everybody, I'd be fucking running around naked. I'd be doing all those things. So I always equate when I'm uncomfortable now to, oh, it's because I'm sober and I don't know how to be myself in sober spaces around people who I don't know.
Right.
That's
very common though.
Yeah. And I mean, it is. And that's why I kind of wanted to bring it up because you seem very much like, you are very like good with people. And I pride myself on being good with people, especially because my jobs are comedy and working as a server. But it is different to be in situations where I don't know somebody. Yeah. Like you said earlier, we started with this conversation. If someone even just opens the door, you'll jump right in.
Oh, absolutely.
So I didn't know if maybe it was a little different now, not doing a social drug like cocaine, to where like if you were in environments where other people are drinking or doing that, if you were still kind of like, no, I don't really care. I can just be me still.
It's funny though. You just said something so important to me, which is cocaine is a social drug.
Yeah.
One thing about me when I was doing it is I was antisocial.
Oh, really?
It was it turned me into this, like, I didn't want to share. I didn't want to be around people. It was Magic Monday was whittled down to like 3 of us, because we were all like hoarding the cocaine.
Yeah. God, Magic Monday is going to be the title of this episode.
I know.
Jimmy, this was fun, man.
It was so bad.
This is a blast.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're done?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sad.
You can come back on whenever you want.
Wow,
you just reach
okay.
out. I'll actually probably have you back on in the next couple months, because by the time this comes out, and then we'll reload. And...
Oh wow, I'm so excited. I mean, some of it made sense, right?
It all made sense.
Okay.
What are we talking about? I got all sorts of notes.
Because sometimes I feel like I can talk in a circle or not make sense.
No, I'm
and by the way, I totally, because you're not putting this online, I totally gave myself a pep talk coming over here.
Did you?
And I was like, oh my God.
We haven't actually ended the episode yet. This is all going on.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So you can tell the people I gave myself a pep talk coming here, being like, don't tell him you're uncomfortable around the hot gays. don't be self-deprecating in that sense. You look fine. And then here I am. I totally
get it though. I played sports my entire life. I was in locker rooms with Adonises, and I've always had this pot belly, and I'm the strongest person most people have ever met in their lives. But my body chemistry just doesn't have ripped abs. I could literally lift a car, Jimmy, but I'm never gonna have abs.
It's so unfair.
And it is. So I totally understand. I'd be at fucking parties in college with the whole football team. Everyone's running around, shirts off, and I'm sitting in the corner like, yeah, but if I take my shirt off, everyone's going to be like, one doesn't look like the others.
It's so unfair. Somebody actually recently shamed me about it, and I haven't told anyone this.
About to 10,000 people.
So now I'm telling. Is that how many people are listening? Oh God. Okay. Well, actually, you know what? I'll tell this, and this is a tiny bit of shade, but it was incredibly validating. Someone I hooked up with several years ago recently contacted me to tell me that he has been seeing a lot of reels on Instagram. And he wrote me to be like, I understand your frustration from years ago. You're funnier, but I get it. You're not generically hot. And I was like, that's validating, but also shade.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%.
I was like...
I
was like, you know what? I wrote him back and I was like, I don't even want to know who you saw, what reels you're talking about.
But
thank you for giving me the validation.
Yes.
And he was like, I just thought you should know that, like, hit the gym more because. Well, and I was like, thanks.
Now you've gone too far. You didn't have to respond when I said thank you. You didn't have to respond. I'll go to shows with my wife who knew nothing about stand-up before we met. And now she knows a lot about it, obviously, because I'm obsessed with it. But we'll go to shows at clubs, like big clubs. And she'll be like, yeah, how are you not past here? And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, it's
thank
hard. You gotta,
But also, it's very validating to be like, okay, because she doesn't know, what's funny to her is just what's funny. She doesn't know, like, what is funny in the abstract.
And what goes into it. I mean, who you know and where you produce and what you
do. So it does make,
it's hard.
It gives me a lot of validation when she's like, you're funnier than this person. I'm like, I am, aren't I?
It's a lot of validation. Yeah.
Plug everything one more time.
Jimmy Schatz is funny. JIMMY. SCHATZ is funny. You should all know how to spell. Follow me on Instagram for the shows.
I also love a dyslexic guest going, you should know how to spell.
You should know how to spell it. And same on TikTok. And any creators watching, book me, please. I'm funny.
Very funny.
Very funny and conversational. And gays, I do love you. It's all me. I'm just, still insecure, pushing 40. And send me your workout tips. I don't know.
Thank you, everybody, so much for listening at Brennan T Comedy on all social media. BrennanTComedy.com. Check out the new special, Chasing Dreams. It's going to be streaming everywhere in the next month or two. So keep an eye out for that, and we'll talk to y'all next week.